From London, England, where the Queen lives.
Recorded live from an underground bunker and packaged into an MP3 with a pretty little picture. Helping to kickstart your day with the motivation and inspiration you need 365 days a year. This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. And this is your host, Chris Jaggs.
Good morning! I'd like to give you a big welcome to another episode of the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. This, somehow, is episode 120 of the weekly show. How did we get this far? My name is still Chris Jaggs, and I'm glad you've downloaded or streamed to be here today. In this episode, we're going to stop doing what we all do at some point, whether we know it or not. We're going to stop comparing ourselves to others. It's just not healthy for you. Even though most of us try not to, we're all guilty of comparing ourselves to those other people. Celebrities, sports stars, even people that we know personally. We can make comparisons like, I wish I was as rich as them. I wish I had their big house. Or another favourite, it must be nice to have all that success. Now, a lot of the time, you might not even realise that unconsciously, that you are even doing it. So it's important that we try and train ourselves to stop or even just cut down a bit. Now, while it may motivate us to better ourselves, constantly comparing yourself to others can lead to negative thoughts, and it's these negative thoughts that tend to take over and potentially lead you on a pathway to all sorts of bad. Now, before we get into this, let's have those messages while we get ourselves all settled in.
The Learn, Develop, Live podcast, trying to help you understand this crazy world we live in.
For more information and inspiration, head over to learndeveloplive.com.
G'day, as they say in Australia. So, the question is, why do we compare ourselves to others? Human beings are social creatures, and comparison is common throughout our entire history. Social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, well, they bombarded us with posts about what we lack. These apps are comparison traps that encourage us to question aspects of our own lives. It is very easy to forget that social media is a highlight reel of other people's lives. We see their best moments, but we don't always see the struggles. Because of this, we often compare our lesser qualities with a person's best qualities, which skews our judgment somewhat. It's important to try and bear in mind that some people just take better pictures than others. This is the reason why some people's lives really do look so much better, but deep down, they don't really feel that way. So just how does comparison affect your life? Now, too much comparison leads to unhappiness and low self-esteem. We become frustrated with ourselves for not being good enough or angry with other people who are. Now, on the subject of taking great photos, I remember this guy on social media who had several hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. Now, two examples of photos he would have. The first was standing in front of a flashy sports car, a Ferrari, Lamborghini, whichever one it was, and he got himself a photo and posted it. Now, what does that say to you? Does it look like the guy's got a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? For most people, yes. And another one was just a quote with a photo, I can't wait to go to Las Vegas, with a picture of Las Vegas. Now, it didn't say when he was going, if he was going, would he ever go. But by posting that, you are then thinking, oh, he's going to Las Vegas. Lucky boy. Some people just take better photos than others. Fact. Feelings of jealousy, frustration, and hopefulness emerge if those comparisons continue. If they are left unaddressed, anxiety continues to build, and the road to depression can begin. Now, to avoid comparisons, some people may look for others' faults to make themselves feel better. But this is just as unhealthy. And you start to tear yourself apart for what you don't have or don't look like, so stop doing this to yourself. Before the world of social media, we were comparing ourselves to people close to us. Siblings, family members, school friends, colleagues, and in this context, we had a fair chance to come up on top. Whereas nowadays, we are comparing ourselves to several billions of people around the world. Now, in this context, our chance of coming on top, well, they're pretty slim. So using others as a benchmark to evaluate our own self-worth is filled with downside and pitfalls. And, well, it leads us straight to Unhappy Valley. Now, if you want to stop comparing yourself to others, what can you do? A great question. If you really do want to halt the comparison habit, and let's face it, why wouldn't you? Why not focus on bettering yourself and boosting your own confidence? Try to train your mind to step away from unfavorable comparisons. Seek instead to embrace kindness and a positive attitude. It's hard work, but it pays off, and, well, it'll be you who benefits. Like most things, there is always an answer or something you can at least try for yourself. Some steps that can be taken to make things better for you. In at one is, well, practice gratitude. This one habit can be a real game changer for anyone. Now, if you have a notes app on your phone, or maybe you fancy the good old pen and paper, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. There are no right or wrong answers, it's just what you are grateful for at the time. The first 3 things that come into your head. So right now for me, I would write the sun is shining, which doesn't happen a lot in the UK, my health, and, well, dance music. Now, if you add to this every day, in those moments when you're feeling a little bit down or a little bit meh, have a look at all the good things you have in life. It's not all that bad. Now, what follows gratitude often leads to contentment. The power of contentment allows you to be in a state of joy and satisfaction no matter what your circumstances are. You're happy with where you are in life and you aren't worried about what other people are doing. It does sound a nice place, doesn't it? Being in that nice place doesn't mean you don't have any goals for the future, or you aren't working towards making yourself a better person for tomorrow than you are today. And it definitely doesn't mean that you're going to go stale or choose to sit around and do nothing. It simply just means that you develop a peace about your life and a sincere enjoyment about what you have today without basing all your happiness on the hope of what you can achieve tomorrow. You are content with your current situation, which in time will push you even further. Why not try and have a social media blackout? Now, I know for a lot of people that's quite scary itself, but social media keeps us up to date with our friends and family. Yes, it gives us about current events and it raises awareness, but like most things, it's only best in moderation. Over-scrolling on social media, especially when consuming lifestyle and beauty content, can have negative effects on our self-worth. It's almost impossible to be satisfied with our own life if you're constantly looking at what someone else has that you don't. Shut off all the social networks, and while you're at it, unsubscribe from those email newsletters that keep showing you what you're missing. My own social media blackout earlier this year certainly didn't have me comparing myself with others, but for a lot of people, that will also cause them a lot less stress, especially when they're trying to see what people are trying to pretend to be, and, well, if you're not feeling as happy as that next person. Why not spend that time and energy focusing on what you actually have, what you truly have? Look at your family, your friends, your home, your job, all these things in your life that actually really matter. Find things in your own life that someone else may be jealous of. Remember, if we're all looking after each other, that means plenty of people comparing themselves to everything you have. Find those good things in your life and enjoy them. Why not read a book, go for a walk, see friends? Whatever it is you like to do instead of the mindless scrolling through a social media feed. Now, how about your strengths? Now look, you can be humble and still recognise your strengths, your talents and your accomplishments. You don't have to beat yourself up to be humble. In fact, that's a pretty unhealthy approach, and it's one of the biggest dangers of comparison living. The more we compare ourselves to others, the worse we feel about ourselves. Now that is a dangerous trap that we've got to avoid. Try writing down 3 things that you really like about yourself. Yes, you can do that, you're allowed. Things you can identify as a strength. Don't write down good people skills. This is not your CV or your resume that you're updating. Make this personal to you. Okay, a few examples. I might put, I'm proactive. I like accomplishing things, so whether it's responding to comments about a podcast episode or a post, I'm always taking action. I always have ideas rolling around in my head. I might also say that I'm becoming a great cook. Now, for someone who can only do the basics, I am now cooking up roast dinners that blow people away. And this is no ego thing at all. This is based on what I hear back. The feedback from people that are now eating those incredible roast potatoes. Now, I know I'm organised. I like to have things planned out and all the information out in front of me. Having things organised gives me a sense of calm and peace, as well as knowing that I am well prepared for whatever is coming up. Another thing to be aware of is the triggers. What causes the triggers and how can you avoid them? To improve both your mental health and your emotional well-being, list out all the situations and all the circumstances that make you sad or cynical. Social media isn't the only thing harming our self-esteem here. Now, is there someone in your life who often puts you down? Or maybe you feel inadequate when a colleague brags? Perhaps there's a particular place that makes you feel bad, like wandering through an expensive store at the shopping mall. Once you are aware of situations that make you likely to engage in comparisons, you can take action to avoid them. Get them out of your life. Now, to make life interesting, learn how to compete with yourself instead of others. You are your own biggest competition, and that is a fact. Instead of focusing on where you are compared to others, focus on your own goals. Where are you compared to where you were this time last year? 5 years ago? 10 years ago? One of the reasons that people journal is because it does great things when you look back at just how far you've grown over the years, and can also remind you of the issues that you faced, but ultimately beat. People are always concerned about how much they have left to do, instead of what they've actually achieved already. So, next time you catch yourself using someone else as a benchmark for your own worth, stop. Remind yourself how stupid that idea even is. Instead, redirect your energy and attention to your own goals and what is required to also achieve them. And don't forget, the only person you should compare yourself with is the person that you were yesterday. Now that is it for the episode, but are you ready to get some incredible results? Then why not take some action on what we just spoke about and book your free Learn, Develop, Live Power Call. Let's get your journey started. www.ldlcall.com has the calendar waiting for you right now. So let's speak soon, and please leave the credit cards locked up. There is no pitch on this call. It's not a sales call. It is literally just a great conversation brainstorming the best strategy to help you grow and what the Learn, Develop, Live method can do for you and bring the real meaning of motivation to your life. Now, I will speak to you soon. As for the podcast, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, downloading, streaming. I always appreciate your support. Every single download matters. Have yourself an incredible day, incredible week, and I'll see you in the next one.
You're listening to the Learn, Develop, Live podcast with Chris Jaggs. Stay tuned for more motivation to get you going.
Goodbye.
What? It's over already?
All over.
Thank you for listening to the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. I hope you feel as warm, motivated, and fuzzy inside as I do. You can connect with Chris at learndeveloplive.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
I won't say goodbye. I'll just say until we meet again.
Until next time, join the motivation. Motivation.